I'm Mark Richmond from Chef Knives to Go, and this is Knife Sharpening for Newbies. And today we're going to talk about a couple alternative methods of sharpening. Last winter I did an interesting thing. Our store sponsored a knife sharpening competition, and I invited two people to enter the competition, and they came in first and second place out of 5 people. And I want to talk to you a little bit about both of their methods and kind of compare them to mine, and hopefully drive home the point that there's many ways to do this, and my way is not the right way. I'm an amateur compared to these guys. I can't hold a candle to these guys when it comes to sharpening. But as you saw yesterday's lesson, I can put an edge on a knife, and that's all I need when I go home and cut my stuff up. So anyways, the first guy I want to talk about is my friend Curtis. Curtis did the knife sharpening competition on video, and if you look at our website and go to the Chaucera stones and click on the items of any of the stones, I posted his video of him actually sharpening the knife for that competition. Curtis came in second by a hair. It doesn't really matter, but he used a whole bunch of Chaucera stones. He used this 400 grit stone to start, and then he went into a 1K stone, 1000 grit, 3000 grit, 5000 grit, and a 10,000 grit stone. And Chauceras are really good stones, and he has a different method as well than I do, and I want to show you just kind of briefly what he does, but take my word for it, it's better if you watch him do it. What he does is he puts the stone kind of at an angle to him, and he takes the knife and he draws, instead of going back and forth, he takes it from tip to heel, and he kind of glides the edge against the stone back and forth, and he does it with a rocking motion. Then he flips it over, he adjusts his body kind of like this, and then he does it again. Keeps the knife in his right hand the whole time, and that's his method. He goes from 15 strokes, and then he goes down in increments like 15, 12, 10, 8, that kind of thing. So, and then he goes to the next stone. So he starts with the lowest grit stone, the 400, then he goes to the 1000, and so on and so forth through the progression. Curtis, unlike myself, does not use any kind of deburring method. He does not really strop it the way I showed you, except for the fact that he's going backward and forward on the stone, which is kind of like a strop. The reason I haven't talked to him specifically about this, but if you keep the angle consistent and you sweep this knife like this, and you're good at it, you're taking off the burr as you go along, and the finer stones that you use will reduce that burr to nothing over time, and that's how he gets a super sharp edge. I really like Curtis's method a lot. If I will probably adopt his method after I get a little bit better at sharpening. I think it's elegant. The big thing is, when you do it this way, the way I taught you, you're basically patching together an edge every time you move. You're sharpening it, and then you're moving over, you're overlapping, and so you have little spots on the edge where you're sharpening it twice, and hopefully no places where you're missing it completely. But then you have to do something with that slightly patched together edge, and my method is to strop that away. Curtis, since he's sweeping the entire edge tip to heel, avoids that, and if you're consistent, I think it's a great method. Okay, Murray Carter is the guy who won the sharpening competition, and he used two stones. He used a King 1000 and a King 6000 stone. These are considered middle of the road kind of Japanese water stones. They're not considered the best stones on the market, but they definitely get the job done, and obviously Murray's setup did okay for him. And if you remember, I've said in a couple different videos, it's more technique than it is the tools. And Murray can put a crazy sharp edge on a knife with these two stones. And sometimes he will strop with newspaper. He has a very organic kind of method, and it's very seductive when you're first starting. And I copied my method from him watching his DVD. It's not the exact same method though. I adjusted it a little bit based on my own experience, and I highly recommend you do the same. What he does is he takes a 1K Kingstone, this one's a Chaucera, but whatever, and he sharpens the same kind of way on a 1K. He runs the knife perpendicular, works his way up, flips it over, gets that V, makes a burr. He deburrs. In his case, when I saw him do it, he deburred with a piece of 2x4, and then he comes back and he strops the edge, both sides. Then he goes and he takes his 6K stone and he strops it again. He doesn't sharpen on the 6K stone at all. He just goes backwards on it, and that's it. So it's a quick, clean, easy method. It was easy for me to understand when he taught it to me, and like I said, he goes on to do some more advanced stuff. He takes ordinary newspaper, he puts it flat on the 6K stone, and he strops again if he wants to get a little bit more of a shaving sharp edge to it. Murray's got great skill, and he's a good teacher, and that's his method. And as you can tell, that's not exactly what I do. I sharpen on the higher grit finishing stone, and I use in my last video I used a balsa wood strop. So I thought for me, I got better results doing that, and it was probably because my technique isn't as good as him setting that first edge. But my point of this lesson is that there are many different ways to sharpen a knife, and you should let your experience and your tests of the edge be your guide. So when you should sharpen, you should test the edge, and you should use the knife for a while and see how it holds up, see how sharp it stays, and then think about it a little bit, and then experiment. Experimenting is the fun part of knife sharpening, and the more you play around with it, as long as you know some of the basics, the better you'll get. So that's my sharpening lesson for today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about sharpening steels and honing rods and all that stuff. So see you tomorrow, and stay sharp.